Hello, my name is Dr. Daniel Suarez, and I'm going to do my presentation on the topic of promoting the use of social emotional learning in online teaching. Let me present my screen. Let's begin. So we're promoting the use of social emotional learning in the online education technology section, which became predominant during the time of COVID. So to introduce the topic, we're introducing the topic of social emotional learning, which is SEL, which we use throughout the presentation. It's online, which is an online, which is meant to use it in the online teaching setting. So we'll use the acronym OSEL when referring to that throughout this briefing. The goal is to infuse this type of curriculum throughout the actual teaching process. The problem I'm addressing is the lack of OSEL in the literature. And second, a deeper understanding of the process of online learning. One theoretical framework which I've seen and using is called the Community of Inquiry Model, which is COIM model, which is proposed was by Garrison Anderson back in 2023. And now online and teaching needs to have three components, which is social, presence, and cognitive, and the teaching presence. If that's not the case, you have the absence of emotional element in online learning causes issues. And you see in this picture, you see that this is the issue that took place during the March 2020, when we all went through COVID and when everything was shut down and students were forced to go online. But SEL, a lot of these techniques weren't put into place. So things and students suffered. So what is SEL in education and origin? The term SEL uses a big umbrella in psychology. Well, SEL originally came from Yale School of Medicine under the guise of Dr. James Comer. Due to his upbringing in the Detroit area and Chicago area as a Black man, he figured out different traits that helped him and helped other young Black men to survive and to be successful. A lot of times we're finding of coping mechanisms through the emotional trait of strength. This was later tooled and retooled by his students, Dr. Roger Weisberg and Dr. Timothy Shriver, who in time established what we've come to know the collaboration of academic, social, and emotional learning, or CASEL. Now, if we go back, my study has mostly taken place in Israel, and a lot of the topics that we're going to focus come from the Israel lens of education. And as for the matter of teacher education, the focus was English, math, science, and history, or here, Hebrew. But the focus now in teacher education is now the social, emotional involvement, the human and personal interactions. While the core subjects are important, it is more important that we understand the underpinnings of the emotional aspect of our students and make sure our teachers are doing well with their emotional well-being as well. Key theorists are Doctoral and Jones and Balfour. One was realizing that learning process cannot succeed without attending to the learner's social and emotional needs. So SEL component online. Let's begin an example. Social emotion is important, and when it's applied, as you see here, it has benefits. For example, 29% students who feel like their school provides a supportive encouragement environment. 83% students who made academic gains when participating in SEL programs with academic components. 11% of average gain on standardized test scores, which is important for those who are going to K-12 heading. And they need to know that this is part of their eventually how they're being graded as teachers. So we want to make sure that their grades, the students' test scores are high. How can this be done? By going to the emotions of the students. SEL programs improve behavior, attitude towards schools, and prevent substance abuse. Realizing that's not a gate, and so that substance abuse is no longer a gateway ticket. And of course, 11% average increase in GPA for participation in SEL. So there's win-win for using this. But now how we do this on the online format. So again, the issue was there's a lack of OSL when it came to using this in the online program, especially due to the fact that most classes were in person. But things changed after COVID. So the problem that teachers noted that learners were not involved in the online lessons and to the full potential when they compared to how they were in classroom or in-person settings. Research brings out that both parties acknowledge this, both the teachers and the students. So what can be done? And this is where I came up with our research question. One, how can SEL and its reliance on emotions and human interactions be incorporated into online learning? Two, how does incorporating emotions into online learning process affect students' online learning experience and performances? Let's look at the methodology that was used in coming up with this study. First, we use a thematic analysis of scoring and using the actual data. A lot of times this is used when we're using a qualitative approach. Since we're using the raw data from the students, we actually use it and coded it according to the thematic units that they were going through. So let's go with the procedures. Each lesson lasted about 4 academic hours and was held in the same setting, whether in person or online. See, some students were at home and some were online. And during the last 5 weeks of the academic year, when we figured that most classes were conducted more in a hybrid format, both on campus and online. And approximately about 50% of students were still staying online synchronously. The lesson started with a check-in. How are you doing? How and that kind of done through Mentimeter. It can be done through Nearpod. These little academics so we can see and actually use the data that the students were giving us. And at the conclusion of the class, we were asked different parts of the lesson that were difficult. How did this make you feel? How did this issues, especially when we're going to different topics. Remember, one teacher was dealing with, in the case of the Holocaust, that's a more sensitive topic. So the students would deal right before that, after that moment, they would actually ask the student right there and then to get that capture that emotional moment to see how they're doing. So again, throughout the lesson, emotions are the underpinning of the lesson. One was journaling using Google Docs. The students were asked to write reflective journals. And then once they did the reflective journals, they were expected to actually interpret it themselves. And we gave them a rubric and actually a scale, a grading scale, so that they can see, okay, what can I do? What's my responses? I could have done better. I could have done worse. And it's not about the word amount, but more about how they felt in that particular moment, how much they captured that moment. If they were to take a picture of that moment in Word, how would it look like? Basic statistics. What was the aim of the study? Well, the aim of the study was to improve the emotional experience, but to enhance the cognitive learning. That is, of course, using the emotions to lift up the cognitive learning. With the data analysis, each reflection that we went through was reviewed individually, identified by emerging themes. In this process, the sections were and highlighted and categorized and defined the interrelationships, and thus we were able to programize each samples, and so thus we can get the actual data raw form. The findings. Well, the positive experience regarding the promotion of OSEL during the pandemic. This theme included a 3 sub-theme, namely emotion, cognitive, and behavior. It impacted it and thus left the students with a a positive participation and also promoted high scores in their classes as well. The challenges of being in difficult experiences in context OCL pandemic is the themes. The difficult experiences, really focusing on the interpersonal, realizing that we care about you, we want to know how you're doing, but then that's the micro. But the B portion is taking it out to the macro. How is this as the group? How's the group feeling? What's going on? And thus they see that we care about them and then taking them out, realizing they're part of a community. The takeaway. Student participants describe this by saying, here my peers share their feelings made me feel more empathetic towards others and more self-accepting. I could invest my best efforts with a sense of ease and without the stress of seeking to be perfect. This type of experience I would like to create for my future students. And this is a student teacher. Evidently, partaking in these lessons address the aspects of SEL and had a positive effect in the increasing of the social awareness and empathy towards others. And realizing that we were not working with young teachers, we're working with young students, we're working with adults. We're working with young adults who are about to become teachers. So we're helping them get in that mind frame that they need once they're in the classroom. Students gain awareness of the effects of taking in their own emotion accounts and also participate in group SEL activities left an impressive mark on them. In the end, increasing the students and teachers' social awareness and empathy for others. Results. The educational theorists and teachers and learners have concluded that education needs the focus of the emotional aspects of learning. And evidently, the decision to address the social and emotional needs of the student and teacher is important and needs to be effective. It has to be applied school-wide, either in higher education or in teacher, and in this case, in teaching preparation for K-12 instruction. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation.